First thing I read was the post that described that she was a 12-year-old girl in pink pajamas. And the very first thing is my heart just broke for a little 12-year-old girl in pink pajamas.
If you don't know what's happening or what's going on, Robert Morris over at Gateway Church recently submitted his resignation after this story kind of broke the headlines and exposed that he, at 21 years old, was having a sexual relationship for 4 years with a girl who was 12 years old. Now, this story immediately hit the headlines and people began to talk and ask a lot of questions. Now, with this, an ex-pastor of Gateway Church back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, has come out on CBN and kind of given his thoughts and talks about how he feels betrayed by Robert Morris specifically. Now, with that being said, he's going to talk about that here.
This is not the story that I was told. So almost a sense of betrayal, well, not almost, a sense of betrayal and anger about that and sadness. And so my personal response was just an instant empathy for the victim, and then secondarily kind of that anger and response. And then my mind immediately goes to a lot of people are going to see and hear this, and it's a lot of people that I know and love and care about that are going to see and hear this. And so my heart began to break for those people. And then, Billy, it wasn't long before I started hearing from a bunch of those people. They started reaching out, asking questions, or, struggling in some way with what they understood or what they had heard. And so I had both kind of that professional response and personal response almost simultaneously.
You can see here, guys, he was talking about how, listen, this was not the story that I was told, at least at the level that I was at. Nobody shared with me that this young woman that was talked about was actually a little girl who was 12 years old. As the reality is, and I'm going to continue to say this, the sad thing is a lot of churches will hide sin because of the fear of what that sin will do when it comes before everybody and how it will damage the name of the church, the reputation of the church, and the people involved in that church. Guys, we have to understand that that is not okay to do. I have come from a church that did that all the time. I have been a part of relationships where my friends have been in churches where this has happened, where the pastor is having sexual relations with underage girls in the church, and nobody says a word. Guys, this is dark. This is sickening. And the reason why Robert Morris wasn't specific on the age of the girl is because he knew what the consequences of that would be. I still believe he needs to be put in jail for this. I still believe that he needs to have on his record, when you look at him, that he is a child molester. I still wholeheartedly believe that. And now Billy's going to ask this ex-pastor, what did you know? Can you kind of elaborate on that?
Yeah, and I don't want you to share anything you're not comfortable sharing. When you said it was not the story that you were told, I don't know if you can elaborate on that. If you can't, we understand. But it did seem that there was a story that there was information that had been given to church leadership, throughout his time there at the church.
Yeah, I think as near as I understand, and as near as I understand, the public and the church leadership got the same information, or at least at the level of leadership I was. And that information is that there was an inappropriate relationship with a young woman. And in that, I think there's a language there that leads to a certain conclusion. I think that's even part of what I wrote about, is that the language can be designed to use in such a way, to be used in such a way to kind of lead people to natural conclusions and in many ways fog the actual truth. And so I, along with I think the general public, had heard the same story, which is at some point in his life, there was a period of, or an experience of immorality or inappropriate relationship with, quote unquote, a young woman. I had no idea that it was a 12-year-old little girl.
as we see clearly here, guys, he's saying, listen, I knew about as much information as the general public. The story and the narrative that I was told was this was a young woman that I had sexual relationships with while married, while being pastor of a church. They didn't elaborate any further. And that's, again, just the sad reality of just fogging the truth. But can I just give you some peace in mind with the scriptures and what the word of God says? In Luke chapter 8, verse 17, it says this: "For nothing is secret that will not be revealed, nor anything hidden that will not be known and come to light." Guys, nothing will be hidden. It will either be revealed on this side of eternity or when we come face to face with Jesus on that day. I'm thankful that this has finally truly come to the light and that this has been revealed here now. But the reality is, guys, not all sin will be exposed here on earth, but it will be exposed when we come face to face with Jesus. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the BTteam Ministry YouTube channel, as well as drop a like down below, leave a comment. I would love to kind of gather some thoughts from you and talk more about this. And if you enjoyed this video, you might like this one over here.